Here we go. So it's recording now. So yeah, that's how it goes. So a noisy environment. That's exactly how it goes. The next one, total. Total what?
Silence.
A total silence. Yeah. Imagine if it was like a total brain. That would make no sense. 3, the human. Oh,
Brain.
the human brain. That's right, the human brain. 4, make
A
Noise.
make a noise. That is right. Start up
conversation.
a conversation. That is right. And to catch, oh, catch sight of something or someone, which is the only option we've got there, right? So those are just some examples of collocations that we can use, like, I mean, which are connected to this thing of the senses and everything. We have said that collocations specifically are combinations of words that are somehow fixed. So this is, we could say that this is in some cases arbitrary, we could say, or we could also say that these are just combinations that come naturally as we are describing anything, basically. There are some cases in which the point that they are collocations is more obvious, like the case of make a noise, which is something we discussed yesterday, right? It goes with that verb specifically. It doesn't go with any other verb. So that's sort of how it works. So guys, we are going to now listen to 4 extracts. And what we gotta do is very clear. When the speaker stops, we have to answer this question. Which collocation from this previous exercise do you think will follow? You see? So we are going to try to complete those extracts using these collocations if possible. So let me just share my screen again, since I have to share it with sound. So this is the sound 2.4. I put it over here. Oh my God, this is so loud. So here we go, share sound. Okay, guys, so please let me know if you can hear the sound.
2.4.
Yes.
1.
Great, so let's do this.
Audio 2.4. 1.
Most of the patients are asleep at this time, so it's important that you don't.
What do you think? What would be the right one to go there?
Make a noise.
Oh my God, wait a minute. There you go. Yes, that would be the best option. The patients are asleep, so you better don't make a noise, right? Let's see the next one.
2.
This music is so loud. I just can't work in.
I just can work in,
A noisy environment.
yeah, I like it. I think that makes sense. A noisy environment, that would be the right one. Let's see the next one.
3. When I'm working, I have to have.
Total silence.
Let me say, I have to have total silence. Yeah, it makes sense. I have to have total silence. Yes, I like it.
4.
He's a very shy kind of guy. When he's at a party and he doesn't know anybody, he finds it difficult to.
Start up a conversation.
Exactly. Very good. So that was a piece of cake, I would say. So he finds it difficult to start up a conversation. There you go. Yeah, that's it. It is as simple as that. So guys, what we are going to do now, which is related to the previous one, we are going to match 1 to 6 right here to make 6 more common collocations of perception and sound. So it's pretty much exactly the same sort of exercise that we did previously. And as you'll see, we are going to go over the same structure again. So we're gonna work on these collocations and then listen to 4 extracts and also find how these collocations would be in place. So guys, if that's okay with you, I'll give you 3 minutes to do this one. You guys can do it individually. This exercise 2C, okay? We're gonna do some matching here as well. So these are some additional collocations. So guys, 3 minutes and counting. Let's do this. Okay, guys, so let's do this. So we're gonna let me just double check. Yep. Let's start with the first one, guys. Background.
Noise.
Background noise. What does it mean, guys, in this case? It refers to what when there's background noise?
Like, for example, when I am in classes, the
Uh-huh.
background that is the noise that is behind me, or the noise of my mom, or the noise of the dogs, or the noise of all those people, that is background noise.
There you go. Daniel wants to say something, right?
Yes, I think that a background noise is, for example, you're listening to a podcast and there are
Mhm.
more than three people talking, but you could hear in the background some music, so like low
Mhm.
temp beat or something like really relaxing in the background. Yeah.
There you go, mister. There you go. This is that kind of physical noise, if you remember. And it has to do with all the information, all the sounds which are behind what we are actually paying attention to, which is actually one of the things that makes our brains more incredible, right? This capacity to select exactly what to listen to, because when you're listening to a person, let's say if I'm talking and there is any other kind of sound, some sort of music, whatever, as background noise, you still can just focus if you want on what I'm saying, or even you could focus on the background noise if you will as well. So that's a very interesting capacity we have. So that is right, guys. Background noise. The second one says a perceptive. Wow, this one is interesting. A perceptive.
I'm not sure, but I think that it's observation.
That is right. Give me a sec. That is right. Um, that is right. Perceptive goes with observation. Let me put it over here. And the question now would be, what does it mean? Like, what kind of observation is a perceptive observation?
I don't know, teacher. I don't know how to explain it.
So, well, if you make a perceptive observation, it means that, like, for instance, and talking about observation, it means that you, an observation is this act of commenting or describing or talking about something once you have analyzed it. You see, so to make an observation is to observe something, right, and then make a comment or make a like share your thoughts on what you are observing, basically. And a perceptive observation would be an insightful observation, like a deep observation, a detailed observation. You see, so let's say you are, I don't know, watching a movie, and then it's like you're paying attention, a lot of attention, and then you make a very interesting comment. You say like, you know what? I believe this scene depicts the way men feel when they feel sad and lonely. I mean, that's clearly what it shows. You see, so it's like this kind of comment that you can make once you have analyzed something. That's what a perceptive observation is. I'm thinking about how to say it in Spanish, because by the way, every time we are making translations, guys, one of the keys to know if the translation is good or not is to determine if once you have translated what you have translated, it sounds as if it had been written originally in Spanish. Do you know what I'm saying? So when you translate, you don't translate word by word, but you translate phrases, sentences, so they sound natural once they are translated. So in Spanish, we can say una observación perceptiva, but it doesn't sound natural, although it would be an acceptable translation. But I think I'm thinking about it because I know that there is another expression for that. We could say una observación interesante, una observación detallada. Uh, mm, yeah, I mean, there are several options, but in general terms, guys, a perceptive observation would be an observation which is deep, which is insightful. That's another word for that. And it means that you have analyzed something and you have detected anything particular, and you share that with others. That's how I would put it. Number 3, guys, achieve. Achieve. Wow, these ones are way more complex than the previous ones.
Achieve an understanding.
Achieve an understanding. And what's that? What would be to achieve an understanding? No idea. Basically, to achieve an understanding would be, I mean, if there are two people, for example, if there are two people having a discussion on something, and if they get to a point in which they understand each other or they agree something, they say, okay, that's what we're gonna do. Okay, that's exactly how it works, whatever. That is what to achieve an understanding is. We could put it in other words, we could say to understand each other. It could be something like that, but the expression in this case is that. So for instance, when we were in the class discussing this new topic, we finally achieve an understanding when our classmates listen to us. You see, something like that. So it's like to achieve an understanding is to understand each other regarding a specific topic. So that's another way we could put it. There you go. Number 4, guys, pay. Pay. This is a classic.
Pay attention.
Pay attention, right? This is a classic. And we totally know it because this is one of those expressions we've heard since we were little children in our English classes, right? But if you translate it into Spanish, that's when you say that it looks completely different. I mean, it looks, I mean, it would be completely different in the Spanish. When say put attention, right? But pay attention. So that's a very good example of a collocation right there. Number 5, notice.
The difference.
Not is a
Difference?
difference, right? Not is a difference. I believe that's very clear. Not is a difference. And last but not least, 2020 vision, right? That means having a very good vision in terms of, I mean, that's like when you go to the doctor and they perform this sorts of a analysis or tests. We've got a very good vision. They would say you've got a 2020 vision. There you go. So guys, yesterday when I was sharing with you my comments on the speaking test and the recommendations I would give to these groups depending on their performance, I mentioned something, and that had to do with how we are expected by the end of the semester to be somewhere between B2 and C1. And I said that one of the characteristics of a speaker who gets to that level is the use of complex structures and more specific vocabulary. These are great examples of that, guys, of the kinds of expressions that we need to know when we are reaching that level of English, you see? So there you go. These are very, very good examples of what I was describing yesterday. So guys, now what we're gonna do is to listen to, let me just share again. We are going to listen to the next audio in which we are going to do exactly what we did before, which is to listen and to determine which would be the collocation that would fit in that context. So let's do that.
Audio 2.5. 1.
Eric, could you stop fiddling with your phone, please? This is supposed to be a serious meeting. I wish you would...
I wish you would.
Pay attention.
I wish you would pay attention, right? This is a serious meeting. I wish you would pay attention. Next one.
2.
Yes, Felipe, you want to say something?
Yes, teacher. Teacher, in that case, I wish you would. Is not better to say like paying attention in like with ing?
I wish you would pay. I mean, you've got two options. You could say, I wish you would pay attention, or I wish you would be paying attention. We got the two options. Both options would completely work there.
Okay, thank you, teacher.
Yep. Thank you for the comment.
You mean you can see somebody standing on that bridge in the valley? I can't see anything. You must have.
You must have
2020 vision.
2020 vision. I think that's one, you know what? this is something I love to show off every time because I believe that the sense that I have more developed is my vision. So I can see things from very far away. And I like to do that. I like to, on purpose, when I'm with a person, I like to read things or see things from very far away just for the others to know and show off. I just wanted to tell you that. Next one.
3,
Haven't you noticed that my husband speaks with a Mexican accent and I speak with a Spanish accent? Or maybe you don't.
Or maybe you don't.
Notice the difference.
Or maybe you don't notice the difference, right? There you go. That's the right one. And the last one, guys.
4,
Now, Lucas, when you said that there is no relationship between the two events, I thought that was a very...
That's a little bit hard, I know, but we've got the situation in which this woman is talking to this man, and she says, I'm not actually gonna read it. She says, now, Lucas, when you said that there is no relationship between the two events, I thought that was a very... So in that case, they are saying like, okay, I had not thought about that. What you are saying is something that I hadn't
A
thought about.
perceptive observation.
Exactly. Perceptive observation. You see? Because it's like this man made a comment or detected or understood something that perhaps the woman hadn't noticed. So she says, oh, that's interesting. That's a perceptive observation. You see? So every time someone says something intelligent or somebody understands something somehow in a different way, let's put it like that, you could say that like, wow, that's quite a perceptive observation. And that would sound super elegant and, it makes sense in the context. So guys, talking about collocation, this is another collocations. This is another sort of tip, recommendation I gave you yesterday. I said that as we progress in the lessons, it is really, really important to focus on this vocabulary focus or grammar focus that the lessons have, since, this is where the new topics are presented. So this is what they say. They say collocations are combinations of words which are frequently found together, like make a mistake or radically different. Important points to remember are, first, they usually do not translate word for word from or into another language. You see, that's what I said before, like blind alley. You know what a blind alley is? What's a blind alley? Podrá ser una calle ciega, en este caso, como sí, calle ciega. How do we say that in Spanish? We say callejón sin salida, right? And there is actually an expression on that. That's an example. You need to remember which words do not collocate as well as those that do. For instance, we say make a noise, but we don't say do a noise. So that's another thing we need to do. When you record, useful collocations include grammar words like articles, prepositions, and possessives, like pay attention to someone or something. You see, in this case, if you are taking notes on this, this is something that can help you a lot. You see, like more or less what are the sort of complements that we often would use. And collocations do not always follow conventions, which means that sometimes we could have combinations of adjectives, like in this case, in these cases, in terms of phrases and stuff. But that's something which doesn't affect very much the use of them. Okay, guys. So this is what we are going to do. Let me see. Okay, let me just double check so we know exactly what. Okay, there you go. So this is what we're gonna do, guys. I will give you some time for you to work on these exercises. So first of all, you guys are gonna work in the exercise 3B, in which you basically are going to complete this text using the collocations from the previous exercises to A and to C. So you're gonna go over this exercise, and then you're gonna do the exercise 4 as a group. Oh my God, as a group. And then we are going to socialize and share that here with the rest of the class, okay? So you guys are gonna work in groups on exercise 3B and exercise 4A, okay? I will open the breakout rooms and you can make groups as you wish. And then we're gonna come back for socializing this. I think we can devote like 15 minutes to this. And I'll be jumping group by group, and you can also call me if you need me. I'd like to know if you guys have any questions. Let's do this exercise together. Let's finish it. So guys, we had 2 different conversations, right? Or I mean, not conversations, but two different texts in which we essentially had to complete them with the collocations that we had studied before. So let me just check it out. Okay, guys, so let's try to answer this exercise. So we're gonna start with the first one. We've got 6 different spaces. So let's see, guys, how do you answer that one? So it starts like this, guys. I'm always amazed by the powers of, what would be the first one?
The human brain.
The human brain. That is, oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. The human brain. That is right. I was at a party last week and it was really loud. There was lots of music and
Background noise.
background noise, of course. Background noise. So I couldn't hear what people were saying to me, and it was difficult to
Pay attention.
let me see. It was difficult to pay attention. In
Start up a
fact,
conversation.
there you go. It should be to start up a conversation. That is right. Start up a conversation. Start up a conversation.
Teacher, I have a question. In number 2, is not possible to put like a noisy environment? There was a lot of music and
There was lots of music and okay, the thing is that in this case, we are talking about existence. So we say there was, you see? And in that case, we don't say there was a noisy environment. No, we would, in that case, we wouldn't use there is, there are. In that case, we would simply use to be like, it was a noisy environment, you see?
okay. Yes.
So if it was, yeah, we should say there was lots of music and it was a noisy environment, something like that. But as we don't have that other conjugation with to be, but just there was, we have to use this one. Start up a conversation. In fact, I stopped, number
Pay
4,
attention.
I stopped paying attention. That is right. Paying attention, great. Paying attention to the chatter, and I started to look around me. In fact, I stopped paying attention to the chatter and I started to look around me. At that moment, just out of a corner of my eye, you see that expression, guys, just out of a corner of my eye. How do we say that in Spanish? Just out of a...
Por el rabillo del ojo.
People say that. That is right. Por el rabillo del ojo. People say that. Or de reojo, como vi de reojo tal cosa, o vi por el rabillo del ojo. Rabillo del ojo is not very common. I mean, it's possible, people use it, but I would say that in most of the cases it's older people who say that, but it's a possibility. So at that moment, just out of a corner of my eye, number 5.
Catch sight.
I catch, in that case, I think it should be
I caught, it's in past.
There you go. There you go. Caught sight. I caught sight of a bottle of champagne, which was about to fall off a table, I just managed to catch it in time. Does this mean I have developed, number 6?
Perspective observation?
No, no.
2020
vision.
2020 vision, yes. 20. Wait a minute, 20 vision. Oh, but although I believe they use it with slash, is that's, oh no, that's right. 2020 vision. Yes, once again, guys, be careful. It can be a perceptive observation because you don't develop it just like that. It's something you do. So no, in this case, it's not 2020 vision. I mean, and it makes no sense also because remember that the perceptive observation refers to your capacity to analyze something and share that analysis, let's say. 2020 vision in my old age, probably not. I still need glasses for reading. There you go. The next text goes like this. The other night, some noisy partygoers were, number 7,
Making a noise?
were making a noise outside. Yes, making a noise outside my window at 2 a.m. They woke me up. They woke me up, sorry, and I couldn't get back to sleep. Really annoying. Something else that winds me up is the sound of traffic in the street in front of my house when I'm trying to sleep. Guys, something else that winds me up. What is that, guys?
Something that bothers me?
There you go. That's right. So whenever you want to talk about something that you find disturbing, that you find unpleasant, you can use that expression. So something else that winds me up is the sound of traffic in the street in front of my house when I'm trying to sleep. Oh, and don't get me started on the roadworks outside my office. I just find a number 8.
Noisy environment.
Noisy environment, very good. Noisy environment. I just find a noisy environment really stressful, even though I've sort of ground used to it. I really, number 9.
Notice the difference, could be.
Notice the difference, yeah. Notice the difference. Notice the difference when the noise ceases. But strange as it may seem, some people actually dislike
Total silence.
total silence. Total silence. I had a friend who moved from the city to the mountains and he said he missed the sound of traffic. How come, right? Does it even make sense? So there you go, guys. These are the answers to this exercise. As a little spoiler, as we're gonna have our, as some of you call it, Friday games again this week, I think collocations would be a very good topic for that. So guys, then in the exercise 4A, you guys have to discuss these questions. And I like to hear. So this is just a chance for you to participate freely. And the questions go like this. The first one, in which situations do you prefer to be in total silence? Or do you like to have some background noise at work, when studying, in a lift? So what would you say, guys? In which situations do you prefer to have some background noise? Just raise your hands. Yeah, Valeria, yeah.
I was working with Diego and actually we had like totally different like perception of what we like. For me, I can't stand total silence. I feel like I'm alone. I feel like, I don't know, it's kind of difficult to explain. But for Diego, he prefer total silence, even in a lift. So he's like, yeah.
Yeah. But the time that I prefer the most silence is when I'm studying, because I don't know, I can concentrate better. And for me, the noise is pretty annoying. I don't know if because I'm in a silent city or in a silent environment. So I grew up not listening to a lot of noise. So I think that's the fact.
I think that has to do with that necessarily. Absolutely, yes. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for sharing. Anybody else, guys? We want to listen to you. Come on. This is the moment for you to speak up a little bit. So guys, anybody else wants to share their ideas, opinions, insights, perceptions, feelings, perceptive observations, if that's the case? No? That's a shame. Okay, guys. So yeah, I get it. I think that's one of the problems I have. I think this is something I need to work on necessarily. I need to have some sort of background noise pretty much for everything I do, and also to have something to drink pretty much all the time. And now that when I, been working almost 2 years at home, I cannot believe it. I need to pretty much always have something to drink, and I need to have some sort of background noise. So for instance, if I'm studying or reading, I'd like to listen to music at very, very, very low volume, but it has to be music without lyrics. Without lyrics, doesn't matter the language. It has to be without lyrics. So it's just instrumental music. But when I'm working and if I'm not in a meeting, I like to listen all sorts of music, and I feel good. In the case of the lift, I don't care. I don't care if it has God music or not. It makes no difference to me. But yeah, I think what Diego said makes sense, and it has to do with the environments in which we have grown up. If as those of us who have grown up in a city like Bogota, we are very used to the noise, and perhaps that's one of the reasons why we do pretty much everything with background noise. I mean, there are some people who even turn on the TV at home just to listen to people talking there, even if they are not actually watching the TV. People do that. So that's sort of what makes sense. Okay, guys, let's continue with a second question. I love this question. What sounds make you feel good and which really get on your nerves? I really would like to listen to you guys talking about this second question. What sounds make you feel good and which really get you on your nerves? Valeria, please.
I can't stand a dog barking. I
Oh,
hate
yeah.
it.
Oh, yeah.
It's so distracting. I don't know. Oh, I hate it.
Okay,
And
I vote for that one.
what sounds make me feel good? Have you heard about those playlists in YouTube where there is like rain sounds or forest
Yeah,
sounds
yeah,
in
yeah,
the
yeah.
background? That is
Mhm.
very relaxing.
Yeah, that is right. So I vote for both of those. So they call it. Let me just double check, because I think that sorts of sounds you have said, they are called white noise, if I'm not wrong. Let me just double check. Yes, I think. Yes, they are often called like that, white noise, when it's like these kinds of noise which are relaxing. So yeah, I also find that very stimulating and relaxing. Nicolas, please.
So, teacher, as you said before, when I am in my home alone, I usually turn on the TV in order to don't feel alone, and that noise of the TV make me feel good, and I like,
Yeah.
and yeah,
Mhm.
and that's the thing, teacher.
Yeah, I used to do that as well. I used to do that as well before, but then I said like, no, I don't want to waste energy like that. I mean, that's the kind of thing you get to think when you get older, I think. But yeah, I mean, that's quite common. People do that. They don't, for instance, if they are alone, as you said, they want to have that noise so they feel better, I guess. So yes, that's something very common. And going back to the barking of dogs, wow, yes, I find that very stressing, actually. That's one of, I think that's the reason why I prefer not to have dogs. I mean, I love dogs. Dogs are really cool, but it's like I like dogs when it's like a friend or a relative who's got a dog and I visit them. That's great, because I love to play with the dogs and do stupid things. But to have a dog myself, well, I think I couldn't, because even when they are small, they tend to be very noisy, and I don't like that. And that's something I like about my cats. I mean, they make no noise. So yeah, I understand it. David has shared something which is very, very famous these days, extremely famous these days. And I super hate that. to be honest. Is this a ASMR sounds? I don't remember exactly what they stand for. Oh, I don't remember the meaning of that specifically. Let me just double check because I don't remember what that stands for. Autonomous sensory meridian response. That's what it means. I don't remember. I didn't remember. So have you guys found these audios, especially for instance on TikTok? They are very famous. Have you watched those videos?
Yes, I love it, and I love to listen
Okay.
listening to people, but not all the types of ASMR.
Mhm.
But I love when the people is eating.
No.
I love it, and I follow many YouTube channels of mukbangs in here, so I really love it.
Yeah, that's something that gets me on my nerves. So sometimes I like, especially sometimes after lunch and sometimes before I go to sleep, I watch some TikTok videos, and every time I found those, it really gets me on my nerves. I hate that. It doesn't matter what kind of ASMR video it is. I just hate them. So the two kinds, I mean, I hate those, and these other videos in which there is an old person dancing in a very weird way. I don't like those either. But especially the ASMR, it's just like I want to throw my cell phone away. I hate that. And there are so many different kinds, right? And it's weird. I mean, it's super
Yeah.
weird.
I've seen recently like people when they are just taking away the makeup
Mhm.
or and using many products for the face or
Uh-huh.
just open many things. But I don't like those. I like the people eating.
Wow. Okay. We just found something very interesting about Diego. Yeah. Well, anyways, those noise, I mean, that sort of background noise really gets me on my nerves. Okay. Okay. So Valeria has got some advice for you as well. I don't know. I just hate those sounds. I mean, just thinking about them, it's really interesting to think about that, right? It's not just when, I mean, and if you think about other senses, there are so many different things that when you just think of certain smells, sensations, no, I mean, sounds, or any kind of feeling, I mean, sensation related to any of your senses, just thinking of them makes you feel something. So when I just see the word, as soon as David shared that ASMR, I was like, ugh, I hate that. You see, so it's very interesting to see how those different stimuli generate these reactions. So there you go. Okay, that was good. That was good. Number 3, guys, says, do you notice the different accents when you listen to English being spoken? For example, Scottish English, South African, Australian, North American. Is there an English accent you prefer? Which and why? I like this question a lot. Felipe, and then Valeria.
Okay, teacher. Well, yes, I have noticed those kind of accents. Well, to be honest, I haven't heard about Scottish English, but the other like South African or Australian or North American, yeah, and I can say that I prefer South African because I have had the experience to listen to a teacher. I used to have like a teacher which she was from Uganda, if I'm not wrong.
From
So
Uganda.
she speaks like perfectly. Their like her accent is so pretty beautiful. And yeah, well, the Australian is kind of hard. I have heard some people like Australian people talking, but it's like kind of hard. Like not hard, but like a strong, well, not understandable as well. But in North American, well, is the one that we have near. So well, yes, I prefer South African and I love it.
There you go. Yes, we are exposed to certain accents quite often, but still, when even when we say, for example, we tend to say something like American accent, but there are many American accents as well, many British accents. as well. But it's really interesting to get to know those other accents. Like for instance, the case of the Scottish accent is very different from the other accents, and in terms not just of sounds, but also in terms of intonation. The music of that language is I mean of that accent is very interesting. Valeria.
Okay, so this is funny because we weren't like so familiar with those accents, so we decided to look up for videos in YouTube, and we found that South African, North American, and Australian they are understandable, but the Scottish English that's nonsense. I mean, you can understand a word. We saw an interview. I believe it was a farm guy.
Oh
You
yeah,
can understand nothing, anything. Is so hard.
that is right. That is right. There is some accents, especially in certain areas in England and also in Scotland, which are very challenging. That is right. Actually, I've got this video that I wanted to share with you as we were talking about different British accents, and you will see the huge differences. And then I will make a comment about that as well. Thank you, Valeria. Maria Alejandra.
Yeah, teacher, I was talking with my group and they say that they prefer a lot the North American accent. And I think it's because we are really like close to that accent. But I really like English accent. But I see that, as you were saying, there are so like there are many. For example, in Ireland or in Wales, I found that they are like different and maybe hard. And I like Scottish because I see series that is called Outlander. Go to see it, by the way. And yeah, I see like that was my first contact with that accent, and I found it right like really interesting, but it's like really difficult. I have to agree with that.
Yeah, it's quite different, but it's still I like it. Like that was right before the pandemic in 2020. There is a program that we had with ECTEX, the British Council and ECTEX, and we would bring language assistants from different parts of the UK, and they would come here to Colombia, and they would go to universities, you know, like to support classes and everything. And there was an event, really cool event that we had in which we get to meet all of them, and I had a chance to talk to all of them. They were pretty much almost your age. I would say they were in their 20 somethings, and that was my first the first chance I had to see and feel different accents all together. I mean, British accents all together, and one that I would definitely highlight is the Scottish once again, in terms of the intonation. I mean, especially intonation. Yeah, there are sounds which are interesting, and just the fact. I mean, the R sound, because the R sound is close to the retroflexive sound we have, so they pronounce R almost like we do that. They wouldn't say fire or fire, but fire. You know, fire. I mean, they would pronounce the R very strong, like the way we do it in Spanish. So that's one of the things that you notice at the very beginning. But apart from that is also, you know, the different intonation right there. But you know what? The comment that I wanted to make about and why I found what I find British accent especially interesting is the fact that they get lots of different accents, yes. But apart from that, they also have what is called received pronunciation, or RP. Let me just put it on the chat box. Have you heard about this, guys? Have you heard about received pronunciation?
No, teacher.
This is quite a very special example in terms of accents. And actually, if you allow me, let me just stop here. And then I like to share this video with you. Let me see. I don't remember exactly if this is the one. I'm gonna just take the risk. By the way, and apart because there is this channel that I really would like to share with you, which is really cool, and hopefully you guys are going to find useful. So I'm going to play the video so we watch it together. I don't remember I mean, I have watched this video before, but I don't remember if she explains this topic of received pronunciation. I'm so sorry. I don't remember exactly, but if she doesn't, I will explain it by the end. But I'm almost sure that she does. So let's see. Let's watch this video together, and then I will make a couple of comments about that.
UK is incredibly diverse in terms of accents, and it just so happens that I can do many of these accents as my party trick. So come with me as I take you on a guided tour through all of the accents and archetypes of Great Britain. Hi, I'm Siobhan Thompson, and this is Anglophenia, and what I'm speaking right now is RP, received pronunciation, or your standard BBC English. It's spoken across the country, generally by middle, and upper class people. Think of Martin Freeman, Benedict Cumberbatch, or, most of the presenters of BBC News. So, good evening, it's 9 o'clock and this is the news, I'm very important. Heightened RP is generally only spoken on film and television now. So you're gonna think of Nell Card or the Dowager Countess in Downton Abbey. Oh, Gerald, I do love you, but you're so terribly, terribly poor. Now, London is the accent that most people outside of Britain can recognise. That classic lock, stock and two smoking barrels. Get out of my pub! Go on, get out of it! Shut it, you tart! East Anglia is a flat, boggy kind of place with a flat, boggy kind of accent. I'd love to give you an example of somebody that comes from there that speaks like this, but they all lose this accent as soon as they can. Stephen Fry's from Norfolk, but he doesn't speak like this because he's posh. Here's a kind of classic kind of East Anglia phrase. I done dropped my computer in the fan and it's broken. Now let's go across the island to the West Country, which is a much rounder sound. It's farmland full of sheep and cows and apples. Think of like Sam Ganji from The Lord of the Rings or Hagrid from the Harry Potter movies. Oh, you bloody kids, get off my land! Or, oh, Mr. Frodo, don't let him turn me into anything unnatural. And then when you go down to Cornwall, it gets a little bit more piratey. So, hoist the mizzen mast, Squire Trelawney. Now, Southern Welsh is this great sing-songy kind of an accent. Think of Tom Jones or Richard Burton. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. Bloody hell, I love Dylan Thomas. Northern Welsh is where the singer Duffy is from. It's a breathier, thicker kind of an accent, and most people from there speak Welsh at home and English is a second language. So, diolch yn fawr. Now, across the country to the West Midlands and Birmingham, it's a very nasal kind of an accent, mostly on account of all the industry that went on in that area. Cat Daly, who presents So You Think You Can Dance, is from there, and so is Ozzy Osbourne. Sharon, where's the bloody remote? Yeah, that voice that he does isn't because of drugs, it's just where he's from. Scouse is your classic Liverpool accent. The Beatles are from there, and so's Paul McGann. They were also made European Capital of Culture a couple of years ago by the EU, so don't tell me they're not cultured, alright? Up into Lancashire, and think of Christopher Eccleston or most of the cast of the Downstairs in Downton Abbey. Daisy, get those buns out the oven before they burn. Oh, Mr. Bates. So, across the Pennines to Yorkshire, it's a much kind of flatter accent from Lancashire, and they cut off a lot of the words. So I'm going to Pub Up Hill. Think of Sean Bean from Lord of the Rings or Game of Thrones. One does not simply walk into Mordor. So in Northumberland and Newcastle, they speak in a Geordie accent. So, think of the Geordie Shore or Carol Cole. Remember, she got fired from the X Factor because nobody could understand a word she was saying. Or Billy Elliot. All I want to do is dance bally, but me dad makes me box. Edinburgh is the capital of Scotland. It's a very soft, maybe a little snooty kind of an accent. Think of Ewan McGregor or Dame Maggie Smith as Professor McGonagall. That's 10 points taken from Gryffindor, Mr. Potter. Glasgow is a much thicker kind of an accent. Billy Connolly and Peter Capaldi are both from there. They cut off a lot of the words, so I haven't any butter, so I've got to go to the shop, And so up to the very north, to the Highlands of Scotland. Think of Amy Pond from Doctor Who, or maybe Sir Robert Burns. The best laid plans of mice and men, gang after glee. Now let's go to Northern Ireland, and it's all about the vowels with the Northern Irish accent, like how now, Branco. Liam Neeson is from there. I've got a very particular set of skills. I know he doesn't say it in that accent in the movie, but it sounds well, Cole, so, like... And finally, Southern Ireland is obviously not a part of the United Kingdom, but I can do a Dublin accent, so let's just do it. It's a pretty classic Irish accent with a lot of assonance to it, so Sinead O'Connor's from there. Nothing compares. Nothing compares to you. That is all from me. Tell me if there's any British accents that I missed, because I love a challenge. Don't forget to subscribe, and thanks for watching.
There you go, guys. That was quite something. So I'm sharing here on the chat box the link to this channel if you want to have access to it. So I was saying that one of the reasons why I find British accents interesting is the fact that received pronunciation exists. If you guys listen to her when she was explaining that, she called it in another way. She says received pronunciation, but also refer to it in another way. Did you guys catch it? Do you hear that, guys? She mentioned, she described received pronunciation in another way. She gave it another name as well at the beginning of the video. I think you didn't catch it. She also called it BBC English. So what happens with received pronunciation? Every time we talk about accents, guys, every time we talk about accents of countries or cities or whatever, we must keep in mind that those accents depend on several reasons. On the one hand, they depend on geography. So they depend exactly on the location in which you are. So a country like Colombia that has this very particular geography has got different accents, and the variety of the accents that we have in Colombia depends a lot on geography, how geography has isolated certain communities, so their accents develop accordingly. So Colombia is a very good example of diversity in terms of accents. So geography is one reason. Another reason for that has to do with socioeconomics. So it has to do also with the social conditions of people. So inside one single city, we also find a lot of different accents. I think you guys have heard in your lives some people saying that, for instance, people from Bogota don't have accent. You see that we have a neutral accent, which is perhaps one of the worst jokes out there regarding accent, because of course we people from Bogota have accent, and we sometimes have a thick accent even. Guys, look at this word expression, thick accent. By thick, we means when we in Spanish we say, I'm sorry. In Spanish we say un acento marcado. In English we say thick accent. So even in Bogota, we also have a thick accent sometimes. But in Bogota, we have lots of different accents at the same time. So we have the typical, Cachaco accent. We have this Gomelo accent. We also have a more standard academic sort of accent, which is the one that we can use in a presentation, for example. And we also have what they quite often call ñero accent. You see, so it's like there are lots of different accents, and the same thing happens in other cities like Medellin or whatever. So there are different varieties. So those are two things that, those are just two aspects, because there are others, but there are two aspects that somehow determine the accent of a person. So it's not just the region, but also their socioeconomic conditions. Going back to received pronunciation, what they did that is that as they know that there were so many different accents all across the UK, they said, what if we just agree on an accent? What if we just create an accent which we can officialize as the standard accent? And that's how received pronunciation was essentially born. They also would call it BBC English, or even the Queen's English. So this is a kind of a standard British accent, which was somehow designed for teaching. So they say, like, look, this is the way people should talk, and this is how we are going to teach in the schools, and this is how TV programs and everything will be produced. So people learn to speak this way, you see? So, and they started to promote it. So we could say that this is not an artificial accent, but it's an accent which was somehow created. You see, I mean, there were some people who talk like that, of course, naturally, but that's the way they would teach people, and that's how they would also produce the media, so people would learn that. So we quite often, when we refer to the British accent, we are referring to what it's called received pronunciation, because in most of the cases when we are listening to audios in English, British English, it is received pronunciation. Something I like about this book that we are using, Navigate, is that it uses both native and non-native accents. So I like that because it shows you a more natural picture of English, I'd say. So that's what received pronunciation is at the end of the day. It's an accent which was somehow shaped in order to teach people, so people would, you know, so English in the UK would be a little bit more standardized. But as you see, there are other accents also all across the country. If we see the case of Colombia, we can say, well, we don't have a received pronunciation variety, but also in terms of social linguistics, there is something we call the super standard of variety of the varieties of the language. So the super standard is the standard which is often used in the media, is often used in academic contexts and everything. So for instance, we know that we had this huge diversity here in Colombia, but when you watch the news, there is a particular accent. All the anchors, presenters, reporters, they speak in a certain way, which is what we call the super standard of Colombia, let's say, which is not Bogotano Spanish, by the way. We cannot say like todos en los noticieros hablan un español rolo. That is not right. That's a standard Colombian Spanish, but it's a standard Colombian Spanish for the media, basically, which is what in social linguistics, as I said, we would call the super standard. So the super standard of Colombian Spanish is what we see on the news or on the radio quite often, but people don't talk like that normally, you see? That's just on those contexts. So people wouldn't talk like they speak in the news with friends. That's not the case. And actually, all of us could have different accents depending on the context. So for instance, I have an accent when I'm in class or when I'm working. I have another accent when I'm speaking with my family. As you know, my family is from Tolima, so we tend to have a slightly different accent, you see? So that's a little bit what happens with these things of the accents. Something that I've said before, guys, is that it is really important to not just to understand all the accents, of course, but apart from that, it is important to try to focus on one specific variety, any variety you want, but always keeping in mind that you will always have a Colombian accent. My accent is Colombian accent, for instance, when I'm speaking in English, I mean, but we should try to focus on certain varieties. So when we speak, we are consistent, you see, and we adapt our English. So we are consistent and we adapt to the context. So for example, if you go to the UK and you understand all these differences, you wouldn't ask for an elevator, you would ask for a lift, you see, because you understand that in terms of language, that would be the word to use in that case. And same thing happens in Spanish. But apart from that, as I said, you can speak however you want, but when you are writing, you also need to choose a variety so you are consistent. So chances are that you could write a word using American spelling, and then you write another one with British spelling, and that makes, I mean, everyone could understand that, but we should try to prevent that. You see, so it's like we have to think about the variety we want to learn when speaking, but also the variety we want to learn for writing. Okay, so these are also very important decisions that we should make. Okay, guys. Oh, wait a minute. I'd like to know if you have any question, comment about this topic, because I believe is really, really interesting. So, so I don't know. Is there anything you guys would like to mention, perhaps?
Teacher, I got a question, but not about the topic.
Okay, what's the question?
I searched in the campus the syllabus, but it doesn't appear.
Okay.
Generalidad de curso, there is no the syllabus.
But it's right there. I mean, I can't see it. Let me just see again. Well, I will, I don't know if I should update anything, but I will check it again and then let you know, because perhaps I uploaded to another folder. I don't know. So as soon as we finish here, I will double check. So make sure to check it again today, in any moment during the day. Okay. And it should be there. Okay. So that's the only comment, guys. No other comments on this as we are finishing.
Teacher.
There you go. So guys, let me see. Okay, guys, so I think we are going to call the attendance now, if that's okay with you. I'm going to call the attendance. We are going to continue tomorrow with this same lesson. And as I said, grades must be ready tomorrow. I think tomorrow night you'll be able to check your grades. You know that for grading and doing all these things, I need to take up time apart from the time of the classes, of course, because I mean, so that's why it takes a little bit longer, since, well, I don't have allocated time for this, but I'll do it. And hopefully, my point is that I want you to have the whole Friday and on Saturday to check those grades. And in case you have any question, just let me know. So guys, we are going to stop the recording here, as we're going to call the attendance, and then once we call it, we are good to go.